Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Mulholland. Welcome to The Upbeat, a podcast about hope and perseverance from Kelly's Angels. We're joined today by two people who have suffered unimaginable loss. Maureen and Ken Provost of Saratoga County, New York, lost their son, Dan, in 2014 of a drug overdose. They've spent the last many years making sure his legacy lives and that they help others. Maureen, Ken, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Maureen, tell me about your son.
Dan was an amazing kid. Dan was born 3.5 weeks early, and that was our first clue that he was going to start life and go through life on his own terms. He was a bright kid. He was a funny kid. He was the first kid to say, "Can I help you?" when he got to his aunt and uncle's farm. He was in Scouts. He loved hiking with us. He was your average, typical kid.
What would you like to add about him?
Just he worked with me. I ran a family business for many, many years, and Dan worked with me. And so, again, just that he was a hard worker. Talked about running the business someday, which I thought was great. And again, he was into sports. He loved lacrosse. Tremendous ping pong player. Just again, a good kid.
It's been 10 years now. It's still a little difficult to talk about, isn't it?
For me especially.
But and isn't that funny that sometimes people put a timeline on grief? Have you noticed that? Don't they?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that some people will say, "Oh, shouldn't you have? Why are you getting upset now? It's 10 years," and that drives me crazy personally. Because grief knows no timeline.
No. There is no getting over it.
Yeah.
What we've discovered, at least, is that we manage it a little better, but you never get over it. It's always there. Call it a hole in your heart. Call it the empty seat at the table. Call it whatever you want. But you don't get by it. You don't get through it. You manage it, and it becomes a part of your day.
I drive around and I see places we worked.
Yeah.
And it just immediately just
triggers you, right? I mean, it's like a wave, a wave of grief. Hey, where'd that come from, right?
Yep.
Whoa, that hit me hard.
Yes, exactly.
How old was Dan when he passed?
23.
23 years old. So he would be 33 now, right?
October 3rd would be his 33rd birthday.
October 3rd. And are you comfortable talking about the circumstances?
Yes.
Are you okay talking about?
Yeah.
What advice do you have to others about what you endured as it relates to Dan?
I think our son died of a drug overdose. We were pretty ignorant for a lot of the time. We never believed that it really was as bad as it was.
Because you didn't want to believe it, probably, right? Or
in large part, I'm sure. I'm sure. We didn't know how to react to it. We didn't know how to help him. What we learned as we went along was that he's got to help himself. And it kills you as a parent to know that someone isn't ready to help themselves. But he did eventually look for help. As a family unit, there were very few supports in place at that time. There were no community recovery centers. There were very few inpatient treatment centers. There were very few counselors at the time that knew how to help a family unit. Addiction is a family disease. It's not, you may think it affects just an individual, but that is so far from the truth. It is that trickle down, that pebble in the pond and the ripples that go out. It's one of the best pieces of advice that I could give is you never stop loving them. You hate the disease, and it's okay to hate the disease, but you're going to do it while you're loving them every second.
Difficult though, right? I mean, difficult to not.
Absolutely. It is very difficult
There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, anger, and obviously worry. But we thought Dan was one of the we were kind of lulled. I have lost 2 brothers to alcohol. One of them was very close to Dan, and he died at 50 and struggled from high school. And we were very open about it. In the later stages, it was very, very difficult. And we were very open about it. And with Dan, as were my brothers and sisters and their kids, saying alcohol's what took Tom, alcohol's what's taking Tom.
Yeah.
And so we kind of said, all right, that's going to keep Dan.
Right.
And then again, the more we learn that it's a disease of the brain and that you can be predisposed to it. And so we were kind of a little bit lulled into, because we were good. We knew, Dan was going to be okay. But so.
Are you comfortable telling me about how you learned of what had happened when Dan overdosed?
I found Dan. And he was living with us, and I found him in the morning. So heroin, the needle right next to him. So
I'm sorry. That's something you never recover from?
No. Nope.
And in that regard, do you have, and I appreciate your spending time with us, because I think if someone is hearing this, they're thinking, and they're going through something similar, they can learn from all the tragedy.
That's what we hope, is that people will learn to look and then to communicate with the kids as much as they possibly can. I think that's one of the big keys, is communication.
And in that regard, you have honored his legacy by raising a lot of money for area programs through the years. You have an event coming up in October. Tell me about it.
We do. This will be the 7th annual Dan Provost Memorial Walk for Awareness and Recovery. It has been a huge part of our working through the process.
It helps you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It does. We have. We've gotten way more out of it than. No, am I saying that right?
You personally have gotten more out of it than you put in.
more out of it than we have put into it. The purpose of the Memorial Walk is not only to keep our son alive for us, but to remember lives taken too soon, to raise the awareness of addiction, to educate the community about recovery services, and to celebrate those living in recovery. So it's not all about Dan. We have various vendors, and I say vendors, resource folks that are there from area recovery organizations.
So if someone is having a problem,
yes,
come on over.
You want those people to have an easy connection there.
You betcha.
That morning.
And it spans, it's not just drugs, alcohol, gambling, addictions. There's people there from all different aspects of the field that can help you. A tremendous amount of information there.
Yep. That's a big part. There's Narcan training that's available. If you have an outdated Narcan kit, they'll trade in your kit and get you a new updated kit.
That's something else that's changed in 10 years, right? To have Narcan readily available.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you advocate for that, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's...
Yes.
There were many first responder organizations did not carry it up until the last several years, and there are still some that don't. But that's come a long, long way, and it saved so many lives.
Thanks to our underwriters who make it possible for Kelly's Angels to provide grants and scholarships to children facing grief, loss, and adversity. Hoffman Car Wash, a family-owned and operated business that has been serving the Albany, New York area for close to 60 years. Hoffman Car Wash offers a variety of car wash services, including exterior washes, interior cleans, and detailing. Learn more at hoffmancarwash.com. Allardyce Ace Building Supply, a leading provider of high-quality building materials and supplies in Saratoga Springs, New York. Allardyce Ace Building Supply has been serving the needs of contractors, builders, and homeowners for more than 40 years. Learn more at allardyce.com. Bob and Ann Fitch of Saratoga Springs, who have provided tremendous support to Kelly's Angels through the Bob and Ann Fitch Giving Fund. Now back to my dad's interview on the Upbeat podcast.
Your event on Saturday, October 5th at Gavin Park in Wilton raises money for area organizations?
It does. The proceeds historically have gone to the Healing Springs Recovery Community and Outreach Center, to Recovery Advocacy in Saratoga, New Choices Recovery Center in Schenectady, Captain Family Services.
The jail program, the Saratoga County has a tremendous program for people with addiction in jail that are trying to get help during their incarceration, and we've made donations to them, reading supplies and
to
materials.
make sure they had workbooks to be able to do programs while they were there.
Maureen and Ken, what would you like people to know that you've learned over the last 10 years? Since Dan's passing, what would you like the public to know about addiction and the help that's available?
Well, recovery is a tremendous thing and very doable. We have met so many tremendous people that are in recovery, and from a year to 30 plus years. And it's a very doable, and these people are very good people, contributing, working people. It can be done, and we want people to know that we're life in recovery.
It takes that first step, though, right?
Yes.
It takes.
And getting into the programs, which there's so many more available, and so many people that want to help them, if they'll just reach out to them.
What do you think Dan would think of your work now in his memory?
We hope he'd be proud. I expect he's probably shaking his head and saying this is a whole lot of fuss.
Our first year at Skidmore, first one we held the first two at Skidmore College, and they were tremendous to work with. And it poured. It was about 35, 40 degrees. And we said, this is his way of telling us.
Don't make a big fuss.
And after that, it's been good until last year.
It was a nor'easter in October.
Did I hear you say that this could be your last one, or is going to be your last one, or?
This is our final year for the Memorial Walk. We're hoping that maybe another organization will take it and run with it in some way, shape, or form.
We want to work with them. We just want to take a step back out of the limelight.
Got it.
But we would love to work with some organizations.
So you're hoping that this isn't the last. This might be the last, this is the last that you're organizing.
At the helm,
yes.
Yep. We also do a lot of work with families who have lost children in particular, but also siblings as well. And that's a big part of what we do, and where we see an immediate need in people's lives. And that takes time to do it right as well.
This is a podcast about perseverance and hope. How do you said you do work with families who have lost children and siblings. What do you tell those people? How are they supposed to move forward?
They'll figure it out. Everybody figures it out for themselves. It's all different. About the only advice that we can give them is keep your loved one alive in your hearts, in your conversations, and they're never truly gone when you do that.
And to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say that.
Not let the disease or the addiction take hold of the entire family?
Yes, and just know that take it at your own pace. Don't try to push, don't let people push you into forgetting or into doing more than you're ready for. It took us a year to get involved with almost a year to get involved with the Rays. And we said from the start, sooner or later we will, but just persevere and take it slow and take care of yourself. Because if you're mentally losing your control, then you're no good to yourself or anyone else. Just take things slow.
Big picture, what's the ultimate goal of the work you guys have been doing in Dan's memory?
Well, I guess I'll take it from my standpoint. I feel very strongly from the prevention end of things. I think education in schools and out of school, I think is so critical, and giving kids places to go where they're safe. And that I feel very, very strongly about the idea of attacking it from prevention. Recovery is tremendous and we need it, but the more kids we can reach before then is all the better. That's from my personal standpoint. And recovery, of course, getting programs and getting people in recovery and understanding that they're there and there are tremendous people out there that want to help you. Healing Springs is just an outstanding organization. I can't say enough good about them.
Maureen, we've had many guests on the Upbeat podcast who have talked about ways they stay connected to their lost loved one. Do you have a way that you feel when you're feeling blue or really missing your son that you try to reconnect? Do you have pictures that you like, or video, or just sitting in silence? How do you do that?
All of the above. The most recent was, I'm a beach person, and that is my happy place. And whenever I walk on the beach and find a sand dollar, I know that's Dan saying, good morning. Just wanted to let you know I'm here. I'm walking the beach with you.
I love that. Is there anything else either of you would like to add about Dan, about substance abuse, substance use disorder, and how people might be helped by what you've done?
Just, I guess one of the big things we're hearing now is the intensification in drugs of fentanyl.
Yeah.
And that it can be put in marijuana, it can be put in vapes, it can be put in anything.
Yeah.
And the deadliness of it, the danger of it. So it's exacerbated the situation, because one shot and you can be dead.
Yeah. Nothing is safe anymore. There is no such thing as a safe drug or a safe usage. You can't trust any of it anymore.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing Dan's story and being our guest here on the Upbeat. I wish you tremendous success with the event on Saturday, October 5th. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting us tell our story.
And thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to leave us a comment or a review, we appreciate that as well. I'm Mark Mulholland. Until next time, stay on the Upbeat.
If you enjoy The Upbeat, please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have topics you'd like us to cover on The Upbeat, please send your ideas to theupbeatpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. On behalf of the volunteer board of Kelly's Angels and the families we help who are facing life-threatening conditions, thank you for listening to The Upbeat.
Nice job, McKenna Rose.
Thanks, Dad. You too.